Hey everyone, this is Jassel from Geek Public Radio bringing you your criminal fix. Today we're going to talk about the Watts family. If you enjoy this video, please be sure to like and subscribe, and don't forget to hit the bell so you never miss out.
Robbery has turned into a potentially explosive
Hey everyone, this is Jassel from Geek Public Radio. Like I said, we're going to talk about the Watts family today. This is a more recent case, and I do still have Crazy Chris. He is off camera again tonight, so I'm sorry you're going to have to look at my face the whole time. You're not going to get a break from it.
Nobody wants to see my ugly mug.
But we're going to talk about Chris and Shanann Watts and their two little girls. They were, by all appearances, the happy American family. A wife, husband, two kids, dog, fenced-in backyard, the whole nine. Okay, so they're happy suburban couple living in Frederick, Colorado, which is like 27-ish miles outside of Denver. So, beautiful home, jobs they love. Everything seems great, right? It's the perfect everything that everyone wants. Well, the two met back in 2010. Chris sent Shanann a friend request on Facebook, and she accepted it, thinking, and then when you have her quoting saying, "I was like, what the heck? I'm never going to meet him." Except one thing led to another, and 8 years later, we have two kids. We live in Colorado, and he's the best thing that's ever happened to me. End quote.
That sounds like a familiar tale. Little slice of Americana pie right there.
Right? So, everything's great. Everything, they have videos. She posted a lot of videos onto her Facebook account. He's playing with the kids, very happy children. It's all their whole family dynamic was very much so on Facebook. And her family also thought that she couldn't have found anything better than him. He was absolutely perfect. They happily welcomed him into the family when they got married. And she met him shortly after a rather rough time in her life. She was diagnosed with lupus. And it was after she was diagnosed, after she had to go through some pretty dark times and kind of recover and learn to live with the illness and whatnot. She was when she met Chris, and he supported her through continuing that journey, because that's a journey you're stuck with. So Chris's parents, on the other hand, did not really care for Shanann. They didn't even go to their wedding. So, of course, there was a little, rift there because of that. Because, he's upset. He loves his dad is his best friend. And so he wanted his parents there, but they didn't show up because they didn't like her. They didn't approve. So, they felt like Shanann took Chris away from them. They lived in North Carolina when they met. And then they moved to Colorado with, job opportunity. And so they felt like Shanann kind of took him from them rather than joined the family, is how they kind of viewed it. So in one of her videos on Facebook, you can have her quoting saying, I quote, "I couldn't have asked God for a better man," end quote. Leading up to the video that she posted on her page, they got married in 2012. Well, they still lived in North Carolina. And then before they had their first child was when they moved to Colorado. Now they had their first, who was Bella, who was a December baby, born in 2013, and they had their second, Celeste. I'm sorry, brain farting. Celeste was born in July of 2015. And this is all after Shanann had been told that she wasn't going to be able to have kids. So, to be able to be told that and then to have two beautiful young girls, it's exciting. It's wonderful. It added to their American dream family that they already had going.
Just
Now,
as a side note, I love that name, Celeste. That's just I always have.
well, they called her Cece.
Oh,
Which it's cute. They're adorable children too. So in May of 2018, Shanann did it was 31-minute Facebook Live video, and in it you can see Chris is playing with the girls. She talks about how much he loves them, how much she loves her family. She's quoted saying, "quote I love waking up now on Saturdays and being able to enjoy my family," end quote. She was talking about how exciting the summer was going to be for them. She's also quoted saying, quote, "I believe that everything in life happens for a reason, and I also believe people are placed in our life for a reason," end quote. So in June of 2018, she recorded the events of letting Chris know that they were having a third baby. So fun and exciting. She's hoping that it's a boy because he's already got two girls. How fun it would be to have a boy, right? So she puts on a t-shirt, and on the t-shirt, when he walks in, he reads it and it says, "Oops, we did it again." And so, of course, he's as excited as any, happy dad would be, going, "Yes, we're going to have a third kid. I love my two kids. Let's add a third. This is great. I'm excited." So he's on the video. You hear him saying, "This is awesome," right? So, less than a week later, she posted a Father's Day message to Chris on Facebook. In it, she says, quote, "Chris, we are so incredibly blessed to have you. You do so much every day for us and take such great care of us. You are the reason I was brave enough to agree to number 3. From laundry to kids' showers, you are incredible, and we are so lucky to have you in our life. Happy Father's Day," end quote.
that's sweet.
Yeah.
I mean, on the surface, she seems very dedicated to him.
Yes. Now, we can get into some other people's opinions on her in a little bit, but she seemed happy, and she enjoyed sharing that with her Facebook, friends and family. So now we're on to July, still in 2018, obviously. And they did a 6-week vacation to North Carolina to see the families. She went with them for 5 weeks, and then he met up with them the final week.
So she was there for 4 weeks by herself.
5
and then
weeks.
5 weeks.
Yes.
And then he came the 6th week?
Yeah, he had to work and whatnot. So, so while they were apart in July, there were some troubling text messages that Shanann shared with a friend, showing signs of potential trouble in the marriage. These messages also showed that there was tension between Chris's parents and Shanann, because Cece and Bella both had allergies. Food allergies in particular is what we're talking about here. And she took them to Chris's parents' house, and Chris's mom was going to give them ice cream. And this ice cream had pretty much everything in it that Cece is allergic to. So she obviously was like, "No, you can't give that to the kids, or she's allergic to it. That's very bad. You can't give that to her." So there was some tension over that. I'm not sure why, though.
That seems like a really basic request. Hey, don't give my kid poison.
Don't kill my kid. Because, it's a nut allergy, and those are pretty serious for most people.
Right.
And especially when it's a food allergy, often that includes the throat closing up on them. So, why would you even want to risk that? Why wouldn't you? It's not like she didn't know that the kids had allergies. So I can get why Shanann was upset. And I think it was the next day that Shanann went over there, and she and his mom got into an argument, and his mom kicked Shanann out of the house. So of course she took the girls with her.
So okay. Now this is Chris's parents that have an issue, right?
Yes.
Okay.
They've had an issue with her since the beginning.
Since the beginning, since day
Yeah.
one. Okay, day one ish.
Right.
Right. Okay. Carry on. They're assholes. Keep going.
Well,
try to murder my kids.
most of the
Like,
problem-
okay, bye.
Well, most of the problem, at least here, seems to be with the mother. So she messaged Chris and was just like, "Hey, you need to talk to your parents. This is what's happening. This is what's going on." And that kind of was led to the argument because Chris ended up messaging his dad and was like, "Hey, can't be feeding her that ice cream. Shanann's right. Just don't feed her that. She's got allergies. They're serious and we need to take them serious." So he talked to his dad, who obviously talked to his mom, and then round and round we go, and she's getting kicked out of the house while they're there visiting. So luckily there's other family and stuff there that they were visiting because Shanann's parents live there. So she just pretty much spent the rest of that 5 weeks with her parents instead of spending any more time with them, including Bella, I believe it was, had a birthday while they were there. It was her 3rd birthday. And was it? No, it was Celeste. Celeste had a birthday. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Had a birthday while they were there. She was turning 3, and his parents didn't show up to the birthday party.
They're so sweet.
I know. They're just punishing the child. The child doesn't understand what's going on. She loves her grandparents. She doesn't understand the rift between them. She doesn't get that. She just knows that these are my grandparents. I love them. And why aren't they here? But luckily, she's at a young enough of an age that it doesn't really ring to her as well.
Right. It doesn't quite have the psychological effect of abandonment that it would have like later on.
Yeah. Say if it was like her 6th or 7th birthday or later. So she shared concerns that she had with her friend in regards to Chris and how he's acting, the frustrations between them, which, when you go long distance with a relationship, it's not uncommon to start having communication issues and, to start having some kind of tussle happen because of mostly communication issues. So she was concerned. Of course, she was venting to her friend, and she was just sensing in general that something was off. So she kind of felt like this disconnect.
Good friends do that.
Yeah. Well, she felt like she had like this disconnect from him. It felt like the marriage had become like one way. Like she was putting in all this emotional effort and he was backing away. He was withdrawing while she was adding. And that's how she felt. She sent him a message at one point. It's, quote, "You need to meet me halfway," because he wasn't. So when he arrived in New York City, I'm sorry, North Carolina, a little bit of a difference. When he arrived in North Carolina to spend that last week together with family, she recorded his arrival. And so, of course, the girls go running because there's dad and they're very excited. And he looks very happy to see them. And he kind of barely kisses her.
Okay.
And they, go to they go to keep doing their vacation, right? So he sees his family while he's there, but Shanann obviously didn't go with him because now we still have that rift happening between Shanann and his mom. So she mentions to her friend that he hasn't really touched her at all since he got there. And this is a couple days into him arriving to North Carolina. She says that she took a night shower, and that's like her clear sign of, I want to get laid.
Okay.
So like if you ever want to question whether or not she wanted to have sex, if she took a shower at night, he knew that she wanted sex. So, but he just did not reciprocate. She added that he didn't seem to care, that he was just doing his push-up challenge, and he didn't want to discuss anything with her. He wasn't touching her. This is 5.5 weeks now that they haven't had sex. So she's concerned, like most women would be, if you suddenly all have a break in sex and you're away from each other and you don't have a, reunion sex. And none of that's happening when that was normal for their relationship. So thinking, he's arriving at 5.5 weeks, not having sex, not having seen me for 5 weeks. And it's like one small kiss and that's all I'm getting.
Right. There seems to be a lack of genuine affection
Coming from his direction.
Right. Now, was this at his parents' house?
This was at her parents' house.
At her parents' house.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, let's play devil's advocate. Is there perhaps a chance that he was just uncomfortable making the whoopee in mom and dad's house?
I can't say for certain, but based off everything that I found, I see no reason as to why he would be.
I get the lioness was ready to go, but
yeah.
Maybe he was like, "Hey, this is kind of your mom and dad's house." Like,
well, it's not like they've never stayed there before.
Well, I don't.
I mean,
know.
at this point, they've been together. For
I don't
8
have a
years.
history of their sex life, so in fairness to my argument, I don't have a complete chronological order or location map. If I had
Right?
a location map, I might be able to plot this better, but I don't.
So, I mean, it could be, but based off of how she was talking to her friend, that does not sound like that was the case.
This seems abnormal.
Yes.
Okay.
It was very abnormal activity. So she's saying that he hasn't had sex in that time. And for him to be like that, it just was, he seemed off. So and she said, quote, unless he was getting it somewhere else, end quote.
Which is a typical response.
Right.
Especially if there's any kind of underlying issue. Especially then, if there's any kind of underlying issue, that is usually the first place that a partner will go.
Right.
If there's some type of
there's a sudden change in sex
right?
life.
Sudden change of behavior, things like that can cause alarm bells like that to go off.
Right.
And of course, if you have any underlying insecurity, that is the first place that you're going to go. And I mean, everybody has insecurity, so that's usually where everybody goes.
Right.
And in their defense, like I'm not
Now,
saying it's not always justified.
Her friend responded to her and she was just like, girl, no way. He's not cheating on you. That's just, get that out of your head. It's that kind of
Oh, it was
response.
her. I got it. Yep, figured it out.
No.
The plot's over. I got it. It was your best friend. Done.
So she feels like he's shutting her out.
Which he is.
Yes.
By definition.
By
Yeah.
definition, he's absolutely shutting her out. So they get back home and things really don't change much. Still no sex.
Okay.
So now we're at
definitely-
6.5 weeks.
Okay, definitely wasn't that.
And she's getting a little agitated with it, right? And she's questioning things, and she asks him if there was another woman, and he denies it. And she figured, well, okay, I'm going to believe him, and I'm going to just assume, because this is similar to how he acted after they got married, when the rift between his parents happened, and now there's another rift between his parents and them. And so she figured maybe it was just that. She chalked it up to
He's
upset about the rift in the family.
He's not very emotionally mature. He doesn't know how to handle it. He doesn't express himself well, etc. Okay.
So they get back home, right? And Shanann has to go on a business trip. She was doing a seminar kind of thing in Arizona. And so, of course, she leaves the girls with their dad. Mm-hmm. And she tells her friends before they left that they just had the best talk yet. So apparently they had a really good conversation. I didn't find any details on that conversation, but according to her, they had the best talk they've had in a long time, and things seemed, better. She handwrit him a note before she left, and she left it for him to find. And they show messages of her, being like, I love you so much. I miss you so much. I miss the girls. Like, she was being very lovey with her messages, and he was
Lukewarm?
Yeah. Kind of lukewarm in return. But she handwrote them this letter telling him about how much she loves him, how she wants to fight for the marriage and fight for their family, and, figure things out and make sure that everything's good and everything's going to keep going forward like the way that they always, wanted it to. So she finds out, by the way, at this point that she is having a boy. So she also talks about how she's excited about having their baby boy. And then she notices a charge on the credit card or the bank account.
Uh-oh.
And he was supposedly going to a baseball game with some coworkers. But the charge on the bank account ended up being for $63 at a restaurant that he couldn't explain how he spent $63 at this restaurant, because at this restaurant, to spend $63, there was definitely more than one person eating. It was like your standard bar. I mean, she went online and looked at the prices on the menu.
Oh, she was doing her homework.
Well, she's like, this just seems weird. So then she started looking through any other charges, see if there were any other charges while she was gone that were, abnormal. And she didn't seem to find any other charges, but it was during the time that she was gone, he ended up spending time at that bar with a girl named Nicole Kessinger.
Okay.
And we'll get more into her after we get through some of this timeline.
More timeline.
More timeline. I try to keep it in order. It doesn't always work out.
I managed to track down a cute picture of the family. So I'm going to show that really quick here. There we go.
Adorable.
See, if you were to just stare at that picture, which is clearly some type of birthday party, if you were to stare at that picture, you would think, my God. And then see, look, like, Chris is not ugly, but he stretches the imagination. I don't think he's exceptionally attractive, but I'd say he's a 7, right? And you get the BBs, and they're adorable.
They are.
And you got her, and she's pretty as well. So I mean, it
should
seems
see
this
them
looks
on
like
the
a great
videos.
match.
Those little girls, they have the cutest little laughs. They're adorable. They really are.
I mean, look at them.
Right.
Look at their faces. Those big old squishy faces. Especially this. There's the one on the far left. Her super squishy face. I really like that. Okay, enough with the cute family. Let's get into the horrible timeline about how Chris Watts is a jerk.
So August 13th, she returns from her vacation, or not vacation. I'm sorry. She returns from her business trip from Arizona, and her flight got delayed, so she didn't get home until about 2 a.m. So pretty late flight. And she was kind of upset when before they took off, she called Chris. And when she came back over, her friend asked her, hey, are you okay? And she was just like, no. She's like, something's off, something's wrong. I'm not okay.
Okay.
So their flight's delayed. They get home pretty late, 2 a.m. And she pointed out that day she hadn't talked to Chris at all, and that she hardly talked to him on the phone. Like, she messaged him and stuff, but she hardly talked to him on the phone the entire time she was gone. So her friend, Nicole Atkinson, going forward, we're going to call her Atkinson so we don't confuse her with the other Nicole. So Atkinson drives her home, like I said, about 2 a.m, and, goes home herself. And the next morning, she's worried because Shanann was supposed to have a doctor's appointment that morning. And she called her to check in on her because obviously she was upset when she got home and she wanted to make sure she was doing okay. So she called her to check on her and she didn't get any response. She messaged, no response. So she goes to her house and she sees that Shanann's car is in the driveway. And she's like, okay, well, knock on the door. So she's knocking on the door. She'd run around back, check the back. No sign of anyone being there. You can hear the dog barking, but you can't see him or her. I'm assuming that they were probably locked up somewhere, like in a crate or confined to a single room, because you didn't see it running around the house in any of the video.
Right.
So she's concerned, and now she's calling the police. And she calls the police saying, hey, she's pregnant. She was supposed to have a doctor visit this morning. And we were supposed to talk and she didn't. I went to check on her. Her car's in the driveway, but nobody's answering. She's not answering her phone. I'm really concerned about her.
Wellness check.
Yes. So the police come out to do a wellness check. And of course, nobody answers. And at one point when he's, doing the knocking and whatnot, the neighbor to the right, if you're facing the houses to the right, they asked, hey, have you seen your neighbors at all today? And they're like, no, because they didn't. So that's all really the interaction they had. And in the meantime, Atkinson did call Chris to say, hey, why can't I get a hold of Shanann? What's going on? And he said that she was supposedly taking the girls over to a friend's house for like kind of a play date. thing. And so he gets to the house and, saying she was vague about her plans as far as going to a friend's house with the kids for, a little play date. But Chris agrees to allow entrance for the police because, of course, they have to agree. So he goes, yeah, sure, come on in. They end up finding her purse, her keys, her phone, her wedding ring, and they found her medications that she needs and she usually carries with her because they were in her purse. So she took nothing with her
to this friend's house.
Yes. Now, of course, you can watch the body cam footage of what's going on with several of the cops. That you can see from different police officers as to what you're going to see. But he's clearly like, I don't know what happened. I don't know where she would have gone. And so he's kind of like distressed. But it is very clear in that body cam footage that Atkinson is far more distressed than he is. And she came with, I don't know if it was her husband, boyfriend, or what he was, but she came with another man, and that man also seemed concerned. But Nicole Atkinson, was the most concerned in that footage that you could see. Now, 2018, we have surveillance cameras. And one of the neighbors says, hey, yeah, come on in. I can show you. Like, I kind of get a view of their house. And he showed the time through the morning. And you can see Chris pull his truck up to the garage. He's like, yeah, I was loading my tools in there. And then, and I left. And that's it. That's the last time I saw her. Now, when he leaves that neighbor's house, the neighbor, because the police officer's like, I just got to get his information or whatever. And so Chris leaves the house, and that neighbor was just like, I mean, you can watch this footage. He never loads tools into his truck. Never. He's never seen him do that. So, red flag behavior.
Right.
He also stated that Chris was not acting like himself, and that, he's like, he's very fidgety. He's never fidgety. And he said he's not talkative. He's a very quiet person. And so for him to be, over there, blabbing away, that's not like him. That's outside of his normal character that his neighbors have ever seen. So they've always seen him as very quiet, like he never really talks. He doesn't really interact. And the police officer does back him up and says, well, he's going through what he's going through. People generally don't act.
That's
their
what I
normal
would say.
selves.
Like, yeah, that's not really suspicious, man. His wife's missing.
It's not, yeah. So far, he's not necessarily being suspicious.
Right.
So the neighbor, though, he said he's normally quiet, real subdued. He never talks. So the fact that he's over here blabbing his mouth makes me kind of suspicious of something. That's what he's quoted as saying on the body cam. So we're going to go on
Dang
to...
nosy neighbors.
Well, sometimes it's a good thing. Your nosy neighbors just might save your life one day. But now we're going on to the 14th. Now Chris goes on to local news stations and whatnot, pleading for the return of his wife and kids, asking her, wherever you're at or whoever has her, whatever, just, I hope you guys are safe. I just want to talk to you again. I want to see you again. All the usual stuff you see from somebody that's on the news about a missing persons.
Sure.
So, obviously nothing comes of it. Family and friends were passing around flyers in the neighborhood, asking questions like, hey, have you seen anything suspicious? Doing a lot of footwork to try and figure out where they might be. They even brought a search dog to the house that day, to kind of see if there was anything amiss. And of course, at this point, the story's not making national news. Because, you have a beautiful American family, and now it's 3/4 of it is missing. So it tends to make news sometimes. and she was very active on social media, so it makes sense
Right.
that it would end up getting to national news.
There's a pile of red flags as to what is occurring. Like, if she had just vacated, if she just left, then chances are good she would have been active on social media. Atkinson would have known where she was.
Yeah.
It wasn't a disappearance. This is more of a kidnapping, some sort of foul play.
Well, the only thing that was missing from the house was the girls each had blankets that they like to take pretty much everywhere, and those blankets were missing.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only thing that they could notate as missing from the house. Chris was brought in for an interview with the police. He tells the police that they had an emotional conversation, but he doesn't really go into good details to what they were talking about. But kind of vaguely just, that they were talking about how the spark in their relationship was gone.
Sure.
And so at first he claimed he thought that maybe she was at a friend's house. Maybe she was decompressing and she just needed time. So that's what he thought. But by this point, he's telling them, well, now I'm a little more concerned that maybe somebody took her. Mm-hmm. So he at first he was just like, well, she was just upset. She's decompressing. But now he's willing to believe, okay, maybe something did happen to her.
But we clearly know that she didn't leave the house.
I mean, she did,
But the surveillance video clearly never shows her.
Doesn't show her
leaving.
walking out of the house, no.
Right. And no other vehicles pull up to the house. I mean,
Yeah.
the fact that I'm sorry, I have a real criticism with the police at this point, but keep going.
No, they're onto him. They don't have all their
the fact
ducks
that he
in
was
a
allowed
row.
to stand on a national stage and be like, "Bring my babies back." That's no. They should have never got that far. Keep going.
So
Good God.
he comes in for questioning, right? And they ask him if he would agree to a polygraph, and he says yes.
Okay.
Now, he goes home that night. People are still doing their flyers and their footwork and all that good stuff. And the next day, he comes in to the police station. Now, while he's there, family and friends are still, again, doing their footwork, asking neighbors, going to the surrounding areas. It's not a huge town. So, going pretty much all over town, seeing, hey, have you seen this woman? Stopping cars. Hey, have you seen this woman? And seeing, if maybe anyone knew anything. So he goes back to the police department, do his polygraph test, and he fails that polygraph with flying colors. Normally you pass with flying colors. He failed with flying colors because that's how bad he failed it.
Now, in just as a side commentary, we'll get right back into it in just a second. Polygraphs are inadmissible in court.
Yes.
Due to their exceptionally unreliable nature, and that they
Because
register,
they can give false information.
They register emotional response to the question, not lying. So if you are emotional, that's what they register. That doesn't actually register whether the truth is being told. It registers emotional response to the truth. But carry on.
Well, at first he's still, after being told, well, you failed the test. So, I mean, we need you to come clean. We need you to tell us something because you clearly know something.
Right. Which is what they need. They need that confession because they can't use that polygraph.
Yes.
They need him to confess.
They need him to confess. Now, at no point in any of his interview videos did he have actual legal representation with him.
Oh, God.
So I don't know if he just declined it. Because, I mean,
probably didn't want to look guilty.
I mean, yeah, but when you're innocent, sometimes you need that
No,
protection.
always
in order
have
to,
a lawyer.
Yeah,
Always
have a lawyer. You don't call your mom first; you call the lawyer.
Yeah, always have somebody who's literally paid to remember to know the law. Period. The end.
Yep.
I don't care what you did. Have a lawyer. Period.
I mean, even lawyers get lawyers
Yep.
just to cover their butt extra. It's one less thing to worry about when someone else is also on the case. So, so he volunteered. At this point, he volunteered the information that he was cheating on her, which they already knew.
Right.
Because when he was just like, I had an affair. And they were like, we know. Like, they were just like, yeah, we know. Like, you're not telling us anything we don't know, bro.
Yeah, that's not what we care about.
I mean, they do. But the woman that gave him the polygraph and the detective that were talking to him, well, she poses the idea that, hey, did maybe Shanann do something to the kids and you felt the need to protect them, or, did she try to attack you maybe? So she puts this kind of seed of thought into his head.
They posit scenarios.
Yes.
It's called a false, and I'm probably just not. I'm probably helping criminals right now, but I don't really care. It's called a false escape. It's where they present an idea in your head that, in the moment, you're thinking, oh, if I go along with this, this could be plausible. Mm-hmm. They would believe this, when in reality, all they're trying to get you to admit to is a small incremental admission. Mm-hmm. So they're saying, yes, you did do something to her. See, that's all they need. Yes, you did do something. And then from there, they deconstruct the scenario and then trap you with your own admission.
Right.
Yeah, it's
so
manipulation 101.
He asked to talk to his dad. Right. The recording was still happening in the interview room when he was talking to his dad. And while he's talking to his dad, who, like I said, his best friend, so he kind of really heavily relies on him, emotionally, like most of us do with our best friends. Mm-hmm. So he starts telling him what happened. He admitted to his dad that he told his dad that he told them that he had the affair. So by that account, it sounds like his dad already knew there was another woman.
Sure.
So it's just the way that he said it. That's what it tells me. We don't have proof that he knew that or not, but the way that he said it, it tells me he probably knew.
Right.
So he told his dad that they had an emotional conversation and they talked about separating. And then he said, I don't want to protect her. And his dad asked if Shanann had hurt the girls. And he said she did. And then he felt that he had to kill her because she tried to attack him.
There we go. There it is.
So now we're in self-defense. She killed the girls.
Mm-hmm.
And he was only doing self-defense. And in his self-defense, he was also thinking about how he knows that she smothered her children. But of course, none of that was true.
Well, again, we come to this ridiculous scenario in his head where he thinks he's going to escape and get away with it. Mm-hmm. I'm going to claim self-defense.
Well, worst case, you're going to get lesser sentence, right?
Well, not only that, but okay. Then why did you take the children, bro?
Well, no, she did. According to him, she killed the children.
Right, but where are their bodies?
Well, we're going to get to that.
Right. So, I mean, okay, she killed them, but you killed her. I mean, awesome. You defended your girls. That's instant vengeance. Anybody could understand. If you're a father, we get it. But where are they?
Panic that you're realizing that, your girls are dead and you just killed your wife and you don't know what to do. And so you panic. It's a panic response. It's not uncommon, but at the same time, it surely makes you look guilty.
People. But anyways, go ahead.
So he claims that in his rage, he lost it, choked her because she was supposedly trying to choke him.
Okay.
And that's how she apparently killed the girls, was she supposedly choked them.
Okay.
So he tried to claim that she killed the girls, mm-hmm. and that he killed her in the heat of the moment when he saw that she had killed them. And like I said, lighter sentence. It's a self-defense now.
Oh, sure.
And so I'm not having to worry about death penalty and life in prison because I was in self-defense. I might just get off with this altogether. And so the cops are up to speed on what's going on, thinking they have all the facts. But I think they also realize they didn't have all the facts. You can see in their interview when they asked him where they could find the kids and Shanann's body, that he was resisting to tell them. Now, it's not like he resisted very long or very hard. It's just like he was hesitant to tell them. So he ends up telling them by showing them on pictures of a work site that he said that they were at, that he took them to. And he showed them on the pictures where Shanann's body was. And they said, okay, well, where are the girls? And he pointed to one of the oil tanks and said, they're in there.
Wow.
Why would you take the bodies of your two little girls and put them in an oil tank if you weren't guilty.
Okay.
That just screams I'm guilty.
Not only that, if you didn't do it, and you didn't, there's a reverence.
Mm-hmm.
If you're hiding their bodies, you're unwilling to be doing that. You don't want to be doing this. You're not going to just dump them in an oil barrel.
Right.
Now,
At minimum, you dig them a proper grave.
Was it a large?
It was one of those huge.
Wasn't like a 55-gallon drum or anything. It was like one of the big oil tankers.
No, it was huge. It was not a drum. It was a full on.
I mean, still
tank.
Oh my God.
Right. So, when he's telling them where the kids are at and where Shanann is at, this is the first time he's actually showing real emotions. He actually started crying now. Before this, you could tell there was anxiety. You could tell that he didn't cry at all. He hadn't shed a tear. And he didn't even get choked up. He was just anxious. That's really the only emotion that you can see in these videos. He's anxious. So now he's actually showing some emotion, though, and he's talking about where his girls are at and where he put Shanann. All of a sudden, he's got emotions. So maybe finally getting more of the truth out helped him unload those emotions. I mean, but he let his dad know when they were left alone in the room again that Shanann was buried. And then he placed the girls in an oil tank, and then he showed them where they were on pictures of surveillance of the land. And quoting, quote, "I didn't know what else to do. God forgive me."
No.
Yeah. It's not really an easily forgivable offense. I mean, that's up to him, but I mean,
I'm not God.
Right.
But,
Can't really speak for him, but I can make some guesses. So, they ask, quote, this is the woman that gave the polygraph test. She was quoted asking, "Are you okay with the public knowing that Shanann killed her daughters?" And he said, "Yes, because I did not hurt these girls." So, at this point, it's going public that Shanann killed the girls and that he killed Shanann. That's what's going public.
Wow.
So, of course, detectives are already figuring out what really happened. But they need bodies for proof.
Sure.
I mean, they're going to have evidence on them. They just are. And so they're not believing him. They believe, and they even said it in the interview room, they believe that he found a new life, and he thought that the only way that he could get to this new life was to completely get rid of his old life, which feels very extreme.
Selfish.
Yes.
Self-absorbed. Narcissistic.
Now, self-defense or not, he still tampered with bodies, and he still
Right.
he still killed Shanann. So he gets arrested.
Right.
So now we're going to talk about a little bit about Nicole. And she's interesting.
Do you have her last name?
Kessinger.
Nicole Kessinger?
Kessinger. Sorry, I should have given you that beforehand.
No, it's okay.
So they talk to her. First, they do a phone interview. And she says that she met Chris at work in June. Chris told her that he has 2 daughters and that he's separated from his wife. And they became friends. And then soon after that, they started a sexual relationship.
There you go. That's her. And no, Shanann's much more attractive. I'm willing to bet. Yeah. Yep. I bet I already know. But go ahead.
Well, he tells her that they're on the verge of a divorce, right? And after meeting several times a week for a bit, Chris tells Nicole that the divorce is final. this is what he tells her this while Shanann and the kids were in North Carolina without him. Well, he was still in Colorado. This is what she is telling the police. I mean, yeah, that picture right there that you have up.
Yep.
You can see him taking the picture.
Yep. Wow. What a classy gentleman this guy is. So, we'll flip that on there real quick. There you go. Wow. Just, there he is, right there. Right in the little doorway.
Well, during all this time, the girls are gone, and they obviously went on more dates, including overnight dates.
Well, duh.
And, very adventures. I mean, when you look at the pictures, you can see they went to some kind of, it looks like a desert where they could do like sand. It looks like sand surfing. I don't know what it was. It looked unfamiliar to me. So I'm not 100% sure what it was they were doing there, but you can see all kinds of photos of them going to like what looks like national parks and things like that. Yeah, there's another one.
Yeah, there's quite a few of them on here. So this,
yeah, they have lots of pictures.
Which, what? How? Okay. Yep.
Well, I mean, there's more. So it seems that maybe more was going on than meets the eye. Nicole was never arrested for any involvement in the case. And by all accounts, it does appear that she was not involved. So, and she didn't take part in any of it. But almost a year before their deaths, in Nicole's search history, they found Nicole searching both Shanann Watts and Chris Watts.
So she knew.
She knew. Now, she didn't meet Chris, supposedly, until June. Now, we're going to have some speculation here because that's what we got.
Sure.
Outside looking in, I mean, was she stalking him? Did she have plans to get a job where he's working at and she finally got one in June?
Possibly.
And so she kind of forced the interaction, forced the meeting, and kind of just weaseled her way in?
I don't put it past anybody to do these types of things.
I don't either.
So when it just seems like a really random thing to be like, I'm going to type in Chris Watts. That sounds like a good guy.
Like I don't know how he learned about her.
There had to be some type of knowledge.
I don't know how he learned about her. I don't know any of that. All we know is that she had search history from September of 2017 on her in her search history.
It had to be a I'm not going to say chance meeting because I don't think that's what it is. But
I mean, they could have had like a meet cute, and she was like,
right.
I'm going to look more into this guy.
Right. And then just made a determination. Oh, he's married. I don't really care.
Yeah, I don't really care. I'm just going to.
Right. Especially if she's literally looking up Shanann, rather.
Shanann.
Sorry. Yeah, if she's looking up Shanann and him, then she is aware, at least in some capacity, whether it was through a dating app or some kind of crazy thing like that, or maybe she ran into him one day and she got to know him and maybe they talked at that bar, maybe she was a waitress somewhere.
And he maybe didn't remember meeting her.
Right. And that's possible. Like,
it is.
I
don't remember everyone I
meet.
meet.
The impression he left on her was far greater than what she left on him. Obviously, she was able to turn that around.
Yes.
But, yeah. Okay.
It almost looks like she inserted herself into his life.
Well, she probably did.
So while he was gone in North Carolina, he wrote her a note, and she, on August 4th, in her search history, it shows that she was online looking at wedding dresses for 2 hours.
Wow.
And never mind that. We also have on August 8th, where she Googled a search on, quote, marrying your mistress.
Yeah, no, she had no idea. Right?
So, right?
Oh,
so police reports also showed searches she had done after the murders took place.
Everybody take note. They know what you look at, Right? And if that's why I take magnets to my nope, doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. They'll find it.
They'll find
Especially
it.
if it's online.
It's online. You're done. If you didn't protect it. Like I can't wait
signal
for them to
goes
find
somewhere.
my porn search history at some point. It's going to be a nightmare.
Well, the signal goes somewhere, and they can get anywhere.
Correct.
They're Mr. Universe. I'm making a geek reference, yes.
I'm really proud of like y'all can't see my face, but I'm really proud of her right now.
I didn't even make notes of that one. I
That
just
was
came
good.
up with it on my
All
own.
right. That was good. That was good. All right. Go ahead.
I haven't even watched that movie in a while. It's shame on me. But one of the things that she did search was, quote, can cops trace photos? And before she was in contact with the police, we're not done. Before she was in contact with the police, she deleted her search history and photos.
Too little, too late.
She deleted her search history and her photos.
Not well enough because I found a bunch of them.
Clearly not. She probably is backing up to the cloud like most people do.
I found a bunch of them by accident. I'm not even looking. I'm sure if I were to look
they're
at them.
probably still in the trash bin on her phone. I mean, they probably weren't even properly erased. And even if they were, they can still get to
I got her
them.
an iPhone.
So there's more. There's more fun search history here.
Of course there is.
So she even multiple times she had Googled Amber Frey, who is an author and was the mistress of Scott Peterson, who murdered his wife.
Oh my
Lacey.
God.
She literally searched Amber Frey
Wow.
and Scott Peterson, who killed his wife to be with her. And his wife's name was Lacey. Laci. So, yeah. He was convicted of murder for Lacey, right? And I don't know, it just seems clear looking from the outside in. She definitely knew more than she was saying. Now she obviously is showing how she
This is for Nicole.
I don't know, it kind of went with last 2 weeks ago, that episode.
Sorry.
Giving out 15 of them.
I could not resist. That's yep. There you go. That's for Nicole Kessinger right there. Congratulations. You get yourself a beautiful Darwin Award. May you cherish it as much as you cherished your search history. There you go.
Well, of course, there's still nothing, though, that they can arrest her on. There isn't.
I don't care if she still gets it.
Yeah, well, no, of course. But I'm just saying, like, she's still, by all accounts, she's still uninvolved. No matter if she's lying or not. I mean, still uninvolved. So on August 16th was when they went out and found Shanann's body, which was buried with a sheet, hardly buried, with a sheet. They recovered her body, and then they had to work to recover the bodies of the girls because they were in an oil tank, not simply buried. They had to, fish through oil to pick up 2 little children.
That's
That's not okay.
nah. That's some scumbag shit right there. Sorry, language, but I mean, we're already past that point. So
while they're recovering the bodies, they brought Nicole in for questioning, and that's where she was like, I don't know, he was lying so much, and blah, 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 blah.
yeah, he was totally lying about being married.
Honey,
and
I think you were lying too.
no.
If you ever see this, I'm going to tell you right now, I think you're lying.
I mean, she can't see me, but I'm pretty sure the Darwin Award speaks for itself. My opinion of that lady hooker.
Now
Go
we're
ahead.
trial and sentencing. Let's go to that. So
That sounds like a winner.
right. So you can see that Shanann's father is very upset in the courtroom. You can see her brother trying to comfort him. He's just, it's his little girl, and he's having to go to trial because she was murdered. I mean, he's having to be there, and he wants to be there because he wants to know everything that happened. He wants to see, the end result. That one. That's definitely him in court. I mean, just looking at that picture, I kind of want to cry, but I'm a little too empathetic sometimes. Because, I mean, you can see his pain. You can see it.
This is what Chris Watts should have looked like the entire time.
Yes. At least some of the time.
Like, if you know your little girls are dead and you didn't do it,
That's what you would look like.
that's what you would look like.
Some
I
kind
have
of resemblance
children.
of that.
And I can tell you, other than completely numb, that's the face that you will make.
You're
Period.
likely to either be catatonic or bawling your eyes out.
Right. When you are not catatonic, you are bawling your eyes out, and then you'll go to catatonic, and then you'll bawl your eyes out, and then you go to catatonic.
Yep.
There's really two emotional ranges when something like that it happens. It's not pretty.
So her family and the brother is the one that said it, that there's no way that Shanann hurt the girls, because at this point they still haven't proven that he killed the girls. So they're like, there's no way. She would never hurt those girls. And it's a good thing that mob rule is not a thing.
Agreed.
Because this obviously was all over social media. And there were people on there that, oh my gosh, the things that they said about her, like they don't even know her. They're basing everything off of nothing.
Any
really.
idiot with a keyboard. That's a thing.
They were cruel. They claimed that she drove him to kill her.
What, did she get him in the vehicle and then drive him to the store?
No, like
pick up a pillow and then
emotionally
drive him
drove.
back and then lay down and let him smother her? I don't.
Emotionally drove.
No, that's not a real thing. That's not a real. If you kill somebody,
it is.
Yeah, they just say if you kill somebody, guess what? You killed somebody. Doesn't really matter why. Mm-hmm. Self-defense, insanity, whatever. You are still responsible for that death. Period.
Well, her dad went on TV and was like, "Hey, y'all are wrong. She didn't hurt those girls. You're being cruel.
Good on him.
Leave us alone. Leave our lives alone. Leave her to peace. Go away." Pretty much.
Right. F off.
Right.
F off.
He politely told them to F off. Yes. Mm-hmm. With like a 2-page.
To get effed.
Like a 2-page statement that he had. So November 6th of 2018, Chris Watts pleads guilty to all 9 counts placed against him. It was 3 counts of first-degree murder, unlawful termination of a pregnant of Nico Watts. That's what they ended up naming the boy.
Okay.
And 3 counts of tampering with a deceased human body. Now, with pleading, he got away from the death penalty. So at this point, we now know he did it.
Right.
He's now admitting it. I did it.
Yeah, look at that face.
He doesn't care.
Not at all.
On February 18th, he's interviewed and tells more about that night. He came home late, or she came home late. He felt like she probably knew about the affair. But she got into bed after she got home and started kind of like rubbing her hand on him, and they had sex. Finally. They finally had sex.
Sure.
So, and then went to sleep. When he woke up, he said that this is what he said happened. He didn't think it was going to work. And her response was, well, then what was last night? Why did we have sex? If
sure.
You're just going to be like, I'm done.
Typical emotional response.
Right.
Regarding
like,
that, because it's intimate for marriage.
Yes.
It's a thing, yes.
Yes. So.
Not everybody casually dismisses the act of.
Yeah.
Right.
So she's like, well, then why did we have sex when I got home? Like,
right.
And I mean, really, why? So, he says he couldn't just say, yes, there is somebody else. But she pretty much knew there was somebody else.
Right.
So she proceeded to tell him that he was never going to see his kids again. And he told her he doesn't love her anymore. He says that he knew it was going to happen, killing her. He knew it was going to happen.
Okay.
Quote, I had no control over it. End quote. And then he also is quoted saying, why couldn't I just let go? Well, yeah. Could you answer that for us? Because we would all love to know why you couldn't just let go.
But, okay.
So he says that Bella came into the room and saw Mommy laying face down on the bed and asked what was wrong with Mommy. And he says that he wrapped her up, put her in the truck, put the girls in the truck, and they kept asking it, is mommy okay? And he was just like, mommy will be fine. Mommy will be fine. So he was reassuring his daughter that their mother was fine.
Right.
Well, she was wrapped in a sheet.
Right.
In the back seat where the kids were.
Okay.
Class act. Absolute class act. So he says that Bella was the only one that really put up a fight. Out of the three, no one put up a fight. Bella was the only one that really said anything. First, he put Cece in, and he's quoted saying, quote, "I put a blanket over her head, and she didn't struggle at all." Bella asked what happened to her sister, and he said, as he was putting her in the tank, she kept saying, "Daddy, no," and she was struggling. She's the only one that put up a fight. Now, after this, he called the school and said that he was unenrolling the girls. After that, he called a realtor about selling the house. And then he was texting Nicole about their future together. This is all right after he killed them, got rid of their bodies, everything. I see I've left you speechless again.
How is he still alive?
He confessed, so he got out of the...
No. I'd like... What?
He hasn't gotten shanked in prison yet? I don't know what to
How?
tell you.
How? He's got to be in a... Okay. I don't... You drown them.
In oil.
In oil. In oil.
Yeah.
They're...
Let's move on to sentencing. He was sentenced on November 19th of 2018. Of course, statements were made. Both moms made statements. He declined to make a statement. He had the right to make a statement. He declined. The judge is saying, and this is a longer quote, quote, "This is perhaps the most inhumane and vicious crime that I have had out of the thousands of cases that I have seen. And anything less than the maximum sentence would depreciate the seriousness of this offense. Deputies, I would respectfully ask that you take this defendant into custody and have him serve the rest of his life in the Department of Corrections." End quote. He was given 3 life sentences.
Not enough. Not enough. It's yeah.
Well,
we're on YouTube, and I'm trying to be. I don't want to get flagged for incitement, because I don't want to do that, and I also firmly believe not doing that. But there's a certain point where you look at a thing hypothetically, and you see, as the judge put it, a heinous and disgusting, depraved act, like, drowning your 2 little girls
in oil.
in motor oil, or just oil in general.
Oil? Yeah, it was just oil in general.
And then just you wonder, and the system isn't actually broken when you hear
it is.
that all they got was 3 consecutive life sentences.
He has no chance of parole. So there's that.
Oh, freaking goody. But the
it's
people,
better than having the chance of parole.
But the people are going to pay for him to live comfortably for the rest of his life.
Mm-hmm.
Now, he's never going to be free again. That's the punishment, I suppose. He doesn't get freedom. But what other...
Well, I mean, like what we talked... I mean, this probably isn't the case for Chris, but like we talked about with the pizza bomber case, I forget his name right now, but he was happier in prison.
No,
And then we had somebody in the last episode that tried to rob a bank for $1 just so he would get arrested and go to federal
Right.
prison.
not
So
as
I mean,
bad
some
as the
people
movies
apparently
make it
want
out
to be there, but I don't think he was one of those. I think he was just delusional in the fact that he was going to have some new life without
He's
having
a
to deal with them.
psychopath.
Yeah,
Like that.
I don't think this was temporary insanity.
No, not even a little bit.
It's like he tries to make it sound like it was, but I don't see it.
Like this might have been the
He
first
claims
time.
he had no control over himself, but
No.
I mean,
You didn't have any control over yourself. You literally murdered your wife. You picked up your 2 little girls,
You
one of
weren't
which was
possessed.
asking you what was happening. You loaded them up into the truck. You loaded the body into the truck. You drove to your work site. Work site. It's not like you weren't driving around going,
He didn't
"Oh
even
my
think
God,
that
what do we
went
do?
through very
What do we
well.
do?" Right. I drove them to my work site, and then I half buried my wife, who I just murdered, and then I wrapped a blanket around the head of my children, and was like, "Oh, let's put them in a big giant vat of oil."
yep.
No, that's not temporary insanity. There's about,
No.
I don't know, probably a whole 2 hours worth of time where this was occurring that
Yeah.
you could have had a snap back to reality.
Yep.
So no, that's
no,
not temporary insanity. Temporary insanity is walking in,
Oh, there's
watching your
more.
girl banging some other dude, and you
And
kill
then
them both.
immediately do it.
Right. And then, that's temporary insanity. And even that's inexcusable in my opinion.
Well, her family, I mean, obviously they know Shanann, and she's been through the whole lupus thing. She went through a bad marriage before she met Chris, and so I mean, she's a fighter. She's very goal oriented. She's very, I mean, if you watch some of her videos, I mean, if she would have put her stuff on YouTube, she probably would have been YouTube famous.
Sure. And she was pretty. Like she
Yeah,
it's
she
not
was
like
pretty.
she was like some
They
hideous
had-
chud.
They showed, just this wonderful, happy family. I mean, that's what everybody saw.
Right.
And that's what she thought she had up until like July of 2018.
Yep.
Now, of course, her family knows that she's a fighter, and they don't believe for a second that that she was awake when he strangled her, because they're like, there's no way she would have put up a fight.
Right.
And then when they took pictures of him for intake, he didn't have any marks on him at all. None.
Well, you can see this picture right here. There's his mugshot. There's not a single mark on that man. Now, granted, it's a grainy photo, but at the same time.
Well, there's video that you can see of them doing the intake photos of, like, he has his shirt off, and they take photos of his arms and stuff, and there's nothing there. So by all accounts, yeah, that's one of them. I mean, they also brought up when they were interviewing him, they were like, I mean, it looks like you're taking better care of yourself. That's often a thing that people do when they're having an affair. And he was just like, well, I just decided, I was unhealthy. I was 245 pounds, and now I'm like 180, 185, and, with muscles and stuff that he didn't previously have. And so he tried to play it off as if it was just I just wanted to better myself.
Right in here. Sorry, right in here you can, I don't know, maybe you can see that, but those are very superficial. There's
And that's
nothing,
also
there's
like
no
2 days
depth.
after?
Right. So that's not, those are fresh. Like he's literally done that to himself. Anyways.
I mean, maybe he goes red easy and he had a scratch on him, like he had an itch.
I mean, my poor sensitive Irish skin gets red at the breeze, but
But yeah, they're like, she would have fought back. If she was awake, she would have fought back, and he would have had marks on him. So they believe that she was sleeping, and that whole conversation that he claims happened that morning didn't happen. And by all accounts, it seems correct. That seems pretty accurate. So we've got some quotes from him after he has been sentenced and after he's serving said sentence. And so it's clearly it was premeditated. So here's some quotes from Chris Watts. Quote, all the weeks of me thinking about killing her, meaning Shanann, and now I was faced with it. August 12th, when I finished putting the girls to bed, I walked away and said, that's the last time I'm going to be tucking my babies in. I knew what I was going I knew what was going to happen the day before, and I did nothing to stop it. He admits to having several chances of at least allowing the girls to live. And never mind the fact that one of those chances was a 45-minute drive out to that work site.
So I was right. Dang near 2 hours.
That he was, I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah, in total, probably dang near 2 hours. But the night before, he knew he was going to do it. So it was clearly premeditated, and now he's admitting it.
Whole garbage pile human being. Take a good look.
Right?
That's what a garbage pile human being looks like, right there. Garbage pile.
He went to one of the chances was he went to smother them with pillows, and he didn't finish them with pillows, obviously. He said he claims he had no control over what was happening. But I mean, honestly, that's a cop out. He knew it was happening. He premeditated it. There's no way he didn't know what was happening.
I mean, he couldn't finish the job with pillows. So
No. And that has nothing to do with this, but he's clearly a coward.
No, 100%. That's why he wrapped the
maybe
blankets around their head.
Right? Maybe he wasn't
He
always.
couldn't look at them in the eyes when he did it. That's a complete coward move.
That's psychologically accurate when you're killing somebody you love.
Yep.
So maybe he wasn't always a coward, but at this point, he clearly, definitely, surely was a coward.
I agree.
So he's serving his life sentences. Her Facebook is still standing. It's I don't know if you've ever lost somebody, then their Facebook got turned into like a memorial type page. That is how her page is set up. So if you wanted to see more photos of them, I mean, they are a beautiful family, except for the fact that Chris turned into a monster.
Yeah, that's.
But I mean, two beautiful girls, beautiful woman that fought for her life. She worked so hard for everything that she had. She was so proud of herself when she bought her first home because she did it all herself. She worked hard and she got it done. And she was very like goal oriented. She was driven. She set herself a goal, an idea, and she hit it. So yeah, I do encourage anyone that's watching this to go to her Facebook page. Watch some of her videos. There's several people that to this day are still commenting on there, you know, with their sympathies and whatnot. But yeah. Did you already show that picture?
No, not yet.
Yeah, go ahead and show them that picture.
I was going to let you close, and then I was going to show the picture.
Oh, okay. Well, how'd you know I was ready? But so yeah, that's the story of the Watts family. Chris Watts, who murdered Cece Watts, Bella Watts, and Shanann Watts, and Nico Watts.
Yep. If you guys enjoyed the video.
Yep. So yeah, thank you for watching. Thank you for joining us. Please be sure to like the video and subscribe. And like I said at the start, don't forget to hit the bell because then you'll get notified when we have new content out, and you'll be able to, you know, not miss anything because, you know, we've always have fun stuff coming out. And don't forget, you can get a membership on our website, geekpublicradio.com. And it's only $5 a month. It gets you early access to things, movies, shorts. Recordings of the live recordings of the show, and just so much more.
We actually added an entire arcade section to the. There's actually Geek Public Radio games available on there now too. So if you go to geekpublicradio.com, you click on the game section, you can play the little flash games and different stuff on there. So we got several of those on there as well.
Yep. And like I said, it's only $5 a month, and it helps
Those
us.
are free. You don't even have to pay the membership.
Oh, okay. Well, for the $5 a month, it does help us keep bringing you amazing content and free stuff,
Yes.
as well as, you know, the stuff that you get by being a member. So if you have any suggestions for the show, please leave it in the comments. If you want to see any particular case or have any ideas of something that you'd like us to look further into, just leave it in the comments. We didn't have anyone particularly request this particular episode or this particular subject matter, but We have had people make requests in the past. We've met one of them, and we have another one that's coming up in a few weeks. So, yeah, definitely in the comments, and we will definitely look into it. So, thank you very much for tuning in to Geek Public Radio. This is Jassel with your Criminal Fix.
All right. And rest in peace, Bella, Cece, Nico, and Shanann. Just make sure I got that right.
You did.